Welcome to Fireside Nets. I am your host, Spen Harris, and we are here to talk everything Brooklyn Nets basketball. The last time you heard our show was last Tuesday before the regular season, and boy, oh boy, has a lot transpired in the Brooklyn Nets universe since then. We're going to start with the overtime loss at home to Denver, 144-139. Let's get into it. So the Nets essentially had this game won in regulation. Cam Thomas hit a go-ahead bucket to put them up 3 with a little over 30 seconds left. Then Denver pretty much flexed their muscles and just showed Brooklyn and anyone watching, anyone at the game, who they are. They're champions 1 year removed. Nikola Jokic, multiple-time MVP. I think he's 3 or 4 times he's won the award. He scored 2 quick buckets to essentially tie the game and force overtime. And then the game was over in overtime. Just Brooklyn, no match for Denver. But a lot of really good things to take away from this ball game. First of all, the Nets put up 72 points in the first half, 40 first quarter points. The ball movement in that first half was astounding. I mean, between Dennis Schroeder, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams coming in and hitting a few threes, Jalen Wilson hitting a few shots. Jordi Fernandez has these guys playing together. He has them playing as a unit. And there's not a lot of inept basketball being played by this Brooklyn Nets team. Last year, whether it was Jacques Vaughn, whether it was Kevin Ollie, you saw a lot, and forget about expectations for a second. You just saw a lot of slotfulness, a lot of sloppy basketball, and no real togetherness, right? Guys were trying to get theirs last year. That's not the case this year. Everyone on this team is willing to give a little to get a little. You know, in that first half, and really in that first quarter, Dennis Schroeder came out super aggressive. He finished with 28 points in this game, 14 assists. He's been playing ridiculous basketball through 4 games for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think everyone respected Dennis Schroeder for what he did last year. He was one of the toughest players on the Nets. He was one of the guys who just never gave up, despite, how things might have looked from the outside, despite the team's struggles. Dennis Schroeder just kept coming and coming and coming. And this season, he's just shown you how much of a true caliber professional he is. Jordi Fernandez has handed him the keys to this offense along with Cam Thomas, and both those guys have flourished together. Cam Thomas finished with 26 points tonight. Off shooting night for Cam Thomas, 8 of 22 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3. He did go to the line 9 times. He was 9 of 9 from the field. Would like to see him just figure out how he can get easier shots. He was really working tonight. I mean, Denver did a really good job on him. They doubled him. They chased him off the 3-point line. But him and Dennis Schroeder combined, what's 28 plus 26? That's 54. They combined for 54 points. So shout out to those guys. They played great. Cam Johnson, 20 points, 10 of 18 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3. I'm sorry, 7 of 14 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3. Really did most of his damage in that first half. He was kind of disappeared in the second half. You hope that opposing GMs only watch that first half of basketball. But here's what you love if you're a Nets fan. You're 1-3. Okay, your one win is against Milwaukee, who owns one of your draft picks. So you own one of their draft picks. So the worse that they do, the better you are. You're losing games, so you're going along with the tank concept, and you're probably not gonna be a play-in team. You're probably gonna be in the bottom dregs of the NBA, but you're playing hard. And if these first 4 games have taught me anything, it's that I truly believe Jordi Fernandez should be the future coach of this basketball team for years to come. He just seems like an extremely enthusiastic, efficient leader. That's what I'm going to call him for now. Through 4 games, like I said, I have seen nothing but effort from this team, nothing but cohesiveness, Zaire Williams came in off the bench. He had 18 points. He was 7 of 8 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. This is a guy that couldn't make it in Memphis. He's still 23 years old. He's a 6'9 forward. He's got serious hops. He's got serious defensive ability. Nick Claxton off the bench. He's still on a bit of a minutes restriction, 16 points and 10 rebounds for Clax. He was 8 of 9 from the field. Just too much Joker down the stretch in this game. I said it earlier. Joker's stat line was ridiculous. 29 points, 18 boards, 16 assists. He had the highest plus minus aside from Christian Brown. Christian Brown was a +9. Jokic was a +8. And then Jamal Murray also finished with 24. Just too much of those guys down the stretch. Not much the Nets can do. You tip your cap. Russell Westbrook with his best game of the season off the bench. 22 points, 5 of 12 from the field for Russ, 10 of 10 from the free throw line, which Denver shot 83% from the line in this game. But it took him 144 points in an overtime to beat the pesky Nets. That's impressive if you're a Nets fan. This is the Nuggets are a champion 1 year removed. Jokic is still the best player in basketball. And you really competed with them for 3.5 quarters, let's call it. Because in overtime, that wasn't much competition. They outscored us by 5 in overtime, by 3 in the fourth quarter, and by 6 in the third quarter. Tough games for Shake Milton and Keon Johnson. They were the only two guys that came off the bench, didn't do much. Shake Milton with 3 points. He was 1 of 5 from the field. Keon Johnson got up a shot in 7 minutes. There were 3 guys that did not play tonight. Dariq Whitehead, Tyrese Martin, and Jalen Martin. But otherwise, your 3 first guys off the bench with no Ben Simmons active tonight. He will not be playing tonight. He won't be playing tomorrow in Memphis. Nick Claxton, Zaire Williams, Jalen Wilson, all in double digits. Jalen Wilson had 11 points, 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. He went to the line 3 times and cashed in on all 3 of those. Just super, super impressed with this Brooklyn Nets team. It just seems like, everyone knows they're not going to be a winning basketball team this season. They're not going to win a ton of games. Everyone knows that except them. And it just seems like they're not willing to back down from anybody. You love that. Russ was talking shit to them early in the game. Dennis Schroeder was talking shit right back. Zaire Williams, Nick Claxton, they were going at Russ. He was going right back at them. Nick Claxton was not backing down from Jokic, despite Jokic just eating at the end of the game. I loved everything I saw despite the loss. I was this is a personal thing. I was 1 Cam Thomas 3 away from hitting like a 7-leg parlay. I hit the rest of the legs. I'll win a few Nets bets this year, and I'll give you guys my picks. But otherwise, impressive overtime loss against a really good Nuggets team that will probably be in the top 4 or 5 in the West once they get it figured out. I do want to talk about the other 3 ball games. Let's start with the home opener, the loss against the Hawks, 120-116. Cam Thomas went the fuck off in this game, 36 points. 14 to 27 from the field. He was 7 of 13 from 3, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He was the only net who had above 20, let alone above 30. Jalen Wilson was your second leading scorer in this one, 16 points off the bench for Jalen Wilson. The second-year player out of Kansas has been really, really, really good for Coach Fernandez off the bench. You got to give him credit. Zaire Williams with 9 points off the bench. Dennis Schroeder, 13 points, 7 assists, 5 of 16 from the field. Rough shooting night for him. Overall, the Nets played Atlanta really strong in this one. They outscored the Hawks 31-21 in the second, and that was really it. They got outscored by 4 in the third, 4 in the fourth. Too much Trae Young down the stretch. He had 30 points in this one, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, and then 14 of 16 from the line. You're not going to stop the Hawks when Trae Young is going to the line 16 times. And then Okongwu, we just couldn't stop Okongwu. He had 28 points off the bench. This was a game in which Nick Claxton did not play. I'm sorry, he did play. He was on a minutes restriction, 15 minutes. He had 7 points, 5 boards, but only playing 15 minutes. The Nets were never really going to be in this game. Ben Simmons, 6 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He was a -8. Same old Ben. A few flashy plays here and there. just not enough. But that was the home opener. We played Atlanta really tough down the stretch, 116-120. We move on to the loss in Orlando against the Magic. The final score of that one was 116-101. Nets, I actually watched this game on repeat. So I did not watch this live. I had recorded this game. And based on the score, I thought this was a blowout. Did not realize that the Nets were really in this game through 3 quarters. In the third quarter, it kind of got away from us. And then in the fourth quarter, by then, we really didn't have much left. Cam Thomas, 24 points in this one, 7-17 from the field. Dennis Schroeder chipped in with 20. Dorian Finney-Smith had 15. Cam Johnson had 12. Yeah, just too much Magic. They're a younger team. They're not a younger team. They're probably the same age as us, but too much Franz Wagner in this one. 29 points for him, 10-19 from the field. The Magic had 6 players in double figures, and then Wendell Carter had 8 points and 11 rebounds. This was their I think their home opener, so they opened it out strong against the Nets. You tip your cap to them. You go 0-2, and you think you're going to go 0-3 against Milwaukee, but you come out in the home opener and you beat Milwaukee, a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. You beat them 115-102 at home. Okay. Cam Thomas had 32 points against Milwaukee. He was 10-21 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, 10 of 11 from the line. Dennis Schroeder with 29 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 8 of 8 from the line, 6 assists. They outscored Giannis and Lillard. Giannis had 22 points. Lillard had 21. This was a wild game. You had Ian. I see Ian's commenting about the Nuggets game. I'm gonna get to your comments in 2 seconds. I talked about the Nuggets game to start the show. I just wanted to go through our first 3 games. Then I'll go back to the Nuggets game. But the wild thing about this Nets win against Milwaukee, we outscored Milwaukee 32-24 in the fourth. That's a team with 2 former MVPs in Giannis, and I think Dame might have won an MVP in Portland. I'm not 100% sure on that. If not, he was a MVP candidate in Portland for a number of years. But we had Milwaukee after this game talking about how they need to hold themselves accountable. Giannis and Damian Lillard both went on the record saying they got to figure it out. They need to this is a moment for them, this loss. So I thought that was crazy. You lose to the Nets and all of a sudden you're one of them said that they don't have an identity right now. I was loving that. The fact that the Nets have the Bucks questioning themselves 3 games into the season. So congratulations to Coach Jordy Fernandez for getting that win at home against Milwaukee. Overall, just a really strong effort. Clowney with 13 points off the bench. He was your leading guy off the bench. Claxton had 10 and 11 in 22 minutes. Again, he was on a minutes restriction. Ben Simmons, 2 points, 6 assists. He was a -9 in this game. He had that crazy play where it was a fast break towards the end of the game. He had a lane against Brook Lopez. He gave it to Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson gave it right back, and Ben Simmons wanted nothing to do with the rim. It kind of tells you his entire last 4 years, ever since that shot he passed up in Philly in the Atlanta game where he gave it to Matisse Thybulle. He has just had this narrative, this reputation for, I don't want to say the S word. I'm not going to say it because he's a Brooklyn Net. I'm not going to put him down, but we've seen a number of instances of him not wanting to go to the rim. And by the way, Brook Lopez, big dude. If you look at Ben Simmons and Brook Lopez, if those guys smash bodies, apologies for everyone listening, if those guys hit each other, I think that Brook Lopez is going to move. I think Ben Simmons has enough strength where he can move Brook Lopez. So you hope to see Ben be a little bit more aggressive. But I want to get back to the Nuggets game. And I want to get to some of Ian Cart's comments. So shout out to Ian Cart. He's watching our YouTube stream. He says, I'm really proud of the boys in this one in terms of the OT loss to Denver. Cam T just had a bad day shooting the 3. He did. I had him at 2 threes. He only hit 1. I'm talking about the game against the Nuggets. Yep. Our defense won us the game against the Bucks. So the one thing I want to point out about the Nuggets game, Dorian Finney-Smith had an open look to win this ball game. The Nuggets came back. They tied it in regulation. Final play. Look, you want to get the ball to Cam Thomas, but the Nuggets did a very good job of denying him the ball. Dennis Schroeder had a lane. Dorian Finney-Smith's man crashed inside. Dorian Finney-Smith had a wide open look at a three-pointer. I will live with that shot. I will. In a year where the Nets are competitive and we are trying to get to the playoffs and potentially win a championship, I won't live with that shot. I will be extremely motherfucking upset with that shot. But that's not the case this year, guys. We all know what's going on. This team, they're not actively trying to tank, but I'm not sure they're actively trying to win games like this one. We'll see. Nick Claxton got taken out at some points in the fourth. Keon Johnson got in there. Not sure that's the best way to win a ball game. Is Keon Johnson, who kind of barely made the team, getting run in that fourth quarter over a Nick Claxton, over a guy like Jalen Wilson. Not sure that was the move. And then again, Dorian Finney-Smith, wide open look, had no problem with it. Dorian Finney-Smith is a competent three-point shooter. But if you're telling me that this is a do or die situation and I have players like Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey and Cam Thomas and, Dennis Schroeder, and I'm gonna give Dorian Finney-Smith that shot, and I'm trying to be competitive and get to the playoffs, I probably have a problem with it at that point. But I don't hate this loss. The Nets are 1-3, okay? But you've seen fight in every single ball game. Led by Cam Thomas, led by Dennis Schroeder. Cam Johnson has upgraded his trade value already, okay? Last season, Cam Johnson couldn't stay healthy, couldn't get in a rhythm, and he was really tough to watch. So far this year, Cam Johnson is the Nets' third leading scorer. He's averaging 13 points per game. He's averaging 4 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists. I want to look at, so right now he's shooting a little under 40% overall from the field. And he's at 24% three-point range. Don't hate that, but I'm sorry, don't love that, but he is a subpar 40% three-point shooter. And you'd like to think on a team where guys can create and he gets more open looks, that three-point percentage will go up. But Cam Johnson did a lot tonight to increase his trade value. 20 points from him, 7 rebounds against the Nuggets, really strong in the first half. And again, I just give Jordi Fernandez so much credit for what just the way that these Nets look. Okay, you go and you lose one of your best players in Mikal Bridges. You pick up a guy in Zaire Williams who Memphis kind of gave up on, and you're almost better. You almost look better than I think you do look better than you did last year. Forget about wins and losses. If you didn't know what the score was and you watch this team compete this year through 4 games through last year, this team is they seem like they believe what Jordi Fernandez is preaching. So overall, very happy with the Nets through 4 games. 1-3, it does not look good on paper. If you're a Nets fan and you wanted to be extremely competitive in the East and try to, make the playoffs, I don't know why, because we're just not up there talent-wise with the top 5 to 6 teams in the East. So while we can compete on any given night with, I think, any team in the NBA, and I think we've showed that through 4 games, you're not going to beat any of these teams in the East in the 7-game series. So let's cut that out right now. This is how you want to lose games if you're going to lose. Effort, competing. You had Jokic. I don't want to say you had Jokic scrambling, but there were moments in that fourth where Jokic, he was looking at the refs. He was going, come on, guys, this Nets team, they're too physical. That is what Coach Fernandez is instilling in this team, a physicality that we have not seen in recent years. Whether it's Cam Thomas improving his defense, it's Dennis Schroeder diving on the floor for loose balls, it's Dorian Finney-Smith having to guard Nikola Jokic for a large majority of this game. That was, if you're Dorian Finney-Smith, what are you supposed to do? Like again, this is what Coach Fernandez is asking of his team. Zaire Williams off the bench, 20 points off the bench. It was at 18. I want to check that stat line again because he was awesome, man. It was an alley-oop that Claxton had to Zaire Williams. That had me out my seat. 18 points for Zaire Williams, 7 of 8 from the field, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. You love to see it. You just love to see it. Very proud of this team. I have nothing but nice things to say about them. They have to kind of rebound quickly against Memphis tomorrow. It'll be the second half of a back-to-back. Nick Claxton will not be playing tomorrow. Ben Simmons will not be playing tomorrow. So it's going to be a bit of a tough matchup with a Memphis team that I don't think played tonight. Let's take a look at the games. I don't think Memphis had a game tonight. Nope, it was Kings Jazz, Pelicans Warriors, Nuggets Nets, and Mavericks Timberwolves. But very, very encouraged by what I saw from this Nets team. Very encouraged. And get that. Here's what I love about the Nets right now. So yes, they're probably going to have a high draft pick next year, hopefully. Top 5 pick in the lottery. You'd like to think top 3. Am I sure Ben is out against Memphis? I guess I'm not 100% sure, Ian. Ian just asked me that question. I thought that's what I saw. I'll take a look. I guess I'll confirm that if I can find it. I know he was out tonight. He did not play, but I think I saw that he would be out tomorrow as well. Maybe he's not. If he played, it'd be nice to get him back because Claxton will not be out there. But the thing I was going to say is, if you're a veteran out there and you see what Coach Fernandez is building in Brooklyn, and the Nets get a high draft pick like a Cooper Flagg or an Ace Bailey or Nolan Traore or one of these, Dylan Harper, one of these top guys, you might look at that situation and say, "Oh, I can fit there. I see what Coach Fernandez is cooking up. That's a team I can get behind." The window in the NBA is it's not as wide open as people think, but the Nets are in a position where the big 3 blew it. It didn't work out. You tried to recover with the Twin Towers or the Brooklyn Bridges. That's what we were calling them, and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. That clearly didn't work out. And now Sean Marks is on his last leg, and he's pivoted to a different head coach in Jordi Fernandez, who's finally given this Nets team an identity that's been missing since the Kennedy Atkinson days. And I think that the Nets have a really, really strong plan moving forward. So thank you to everyone for listening. Thanks to Ian Cart for being our live commenter tonight. Really excited to see how the Nets compete in Memphis. I'm sure the game will be close. The thing I don't expect from this Nets team is to get blown out a lot. I really don't. I don't think that Coach Fernandez will allow it. I think guys like Noah Clowney, Jalen Wilson will continue to grow. Zaire Williams will only continue to get better. And, if Cam Johnson and Dennis Schroeder are not Brooklyn Nets at the trade deadline, they're doing a great job of increasing their trade value right now. And Cam Thomas, he's a hooper. He's a walking bucket. All he does is cash money, mostly. From 3, it was a little rocky tonight, but he'll get there. Shout out to everyone. Thanks again. Go Nets. And as always, catch you on the fireside.